Namibia 2019. I almost don't even know where to start this story. Hunting Namibia 2019 was such a big bucket list item for me. I grew up going hunting with my family in Namibia from a very young age. And so as an adult, getting into shooting and then eventually leading into hunting, I've always had this desire to go back to Namibia. More specifically, hunt a wild, free-range kudu, or as we refer to them in Afrikaans, a trek kudu, which basically means there's no high fences. The kudu's on the property because it wants to be there, not because it has been put there. Now, if you've never hunted in Namibia, it's difficult to describe the landscape. Now, Namibia is without a doubt one of the most diverse countries in the world in terms of what terrain it offers. Now, the region we were hunting, the Karasberg, very specifically, it's hard to describe. The only real description I can give you, it's like walking on the moon. It is extremely barren. There's nothing there. Namibia is the second least populated country in the world. So the region we went to, the Karasberg, we were out in literally the middle of nowhere. So for this trip in Namibia, we used a company called Hawa Safaris. Now we linked up with Hawa Safaris because they had an American hunter there, and I sort of helped to do a video for her of her hunt too. If you guys haven't seen that video, I'll make sure to link that one at the end. So with Eon's guidance and Jessica, the other hunter, we were also accompanied by my brother, who helped carry some gear and also helped with some of the amazing video work you guys will see throughout this trip. So our trip started out as any hunting trip really starts out. We zeroed up the first morning, made sure all our rifles was good. Now here's a key mistake I made. I usually only shoot vortex optics and first focal plane optics with turrets that can dial in mil. So I switched out 2 days before the hunt. I switched it out to a Swarovski X5. Now there was nothing wrong with the Swarovski at all. The problem came with me. I was used to how my scopes worked, and under pressure I fumbled a little bit, but we'll get to that down the line. And yeah, so we made sure our rifles were working. I took a little steel plate width. We engaged that plate out to I think about 400 and something meters, and everything seemed pretty good. The next morning we got up bright and early, and it is cold in Namibia. One thing that you have to note about Namibia is how beautiful the night skies are. You literally cannot get around that. There is zero light pollution there. The stars and everything is so beautiful. Right, good morning to a beautiful morning in Namibia. First morning hunting, we've just zeroed the rifle behind me, did a quick bore sight on the X5. Shot it out to 100 meters, put basically 3 cutting each other. I'm happy with that for like a thumb suck hunting load. We shot it out to 413. I just put a little gong up that I drove up. X5's in 0.5 mil per click. It's taking a little to get used to that adjustment, but we should be fine. Elevation was absolutely money. At 414, so we're good to go. Let's go hunting. We've got about a 30-minute drive to get to where we want to be, so not a lot of wind. I've got my little windsock here, and let's hope it stays that way. Let's get hunting. Jess found some kudu cows now. I don't know how she saw them. It's unbelievable. I'll try and get some spotting scope video of them now. That was incredible. So we met up with the farmer Stefan, and Stefan put us out in the mountain where we needed to be. Day one was a lot of walking around, a lot of glassing. This was literally, we leave the car by the roadside. There's no roads heading into these hills and valleys. And we would hike. We had so much gear. I took my ACC match rifle with the heavy barrel. That was a mistake. She got really heavy. It's not so much the weight that's really the problem, it's the angles. So the sharp angles on an arc rail, for example, really doesn't do well with one shoulder. Needless to say, I'm very comfortable with that platform. I have hunted with that platform, and I've hunted with that platform since, despite saying I would never do that again. However, we made some changes to get her lighter. So yeah, the first day, a lot of hiking. What's interesting about the Karasburg region is when you're glassing up from sort of out of a valley up onto this hillside, it looks like it's walkable there. And then you decide to walk there, and boy, it's unbelievable. It's indescribable. The only way I could really do that justice is to show you guys this sort of type of terrain we walked on. It was nuts. So absolutely wrecked when you get to the top. We're carrying all our water, everything is self-sustained. Obviously this is only a day hunt, this is no hectic stuff. But in Namibia, even though it's cold in the morning, it's brutal during the day. So it takes us a while to get halfway up this mountain, and we spot a group of kudu, 2 or 3 kudu on the other side of the valley, and we set up on this absolutely perfect prone flat rock, and I'm sneaking up to try not break my silhouette. We took some drone video and stuff after the fact, but we were very sneaky to get set up there. Unfortunately, the wind was at our backs, and the kudu caught wind of us as we were busy setting up, and he was absolutely off and away. So that was a missed opportunity, but you never want a hunt to be easy and get something pretty much first morning right off the bat. So we spent a few minutes on the rock, regrouped, got our energy levels up. I think we had a few snacks, and then we began the hike up the rest of the mountain. When we got to the top of the plateau, did a bunch of glassing, and about 3 springbok just came sort of rolling through. So we hiked from down there, and we're at the top, and we saw some springbok, but we were unsuccessful. So we're pushing forward, hoping to find them. But we also see some baboons at the front there. Now the problem with that is the baboons bark and they give away your position. So we'll keep pushing to see if we can find something a little bit more forward. And wish us luck. Anyway, for the rest of the day, we really have no luck. We head back to the camp, and we are spoiled every night and every afternoon, or when on the days we weren't hunting, with the most amazing food. So Eon from Hawa Safaris had actually hired a chef, Eugene, who was absolutely the life of the party, and he made this trip so much fun. We had the best desserts, we had the best meals. It was, Eugene, it was such a treat, man, and you absolutely made that trip. Next morning, same deal, out super early. However, this time we try a different part of the farm, and we start in this sort of valley area. Now, for me, I really wanted to get there way earlier than we got there. We sort of got there, the sun was already up. So by the time the sun's up, I want to be out there and I want to be on my binoculars. And at the time, I carried the big Swarovski BTX into the field. I want to be glassing up on a ridge already at that time, instead of being sort of down in the valley. So I felt that we left that one too late, which was a little bit frustrating. But that was also largely due to we had quite a bit of a drive to get to the hunting location every day. When I said 11 hours earlier, I meant 11 hours from where I stay here in Cape Town to Namibia. Every morning we had probably a 40-minute to an hour drive. Spent that whole day, eventually saw a kudu that had sort of just run around this little blind ridge, and we decided, like, let's put together a plan, let's make a move on him. Maybe we can sort of get to the ridge because he had to sort of work his way around on the next ridge. Same story pretty much. Got up there, super quiet, amazing scenery. Like the rocks and the cliff faces and the stuff we were hiking on this day was absolutely beautiful. Get to the top. Okay, we're at a nice stalk now. It's always difficult when you stalk around a valley like this, in the hopes that there's something there, but I think we did really well. We're super quiet. There's nothing. Dead. So now we're gonna push down this into that valley over there, and hopefully we'll have some better luck. Hunting in Namibia is tough, especially the way we're doing it. We've been walking now for the whole day essentially. My rifle's back there. And hunting with just a match rifle alone would be really difficult, but to get all the camera stuff and the PDX spotting scope and everything up these mountains every time, I tell you what, that's super hard work. But yeah, what do they say? A bad day hunting is better than a good day at the office. So let's pack up and get ready to make our way down this mountain. I'm not sure where the rest of the crew are, if they just started descending. But I left all my gear here to just walk with the rifle. So I think they may be waiting for me. Thanks for watching. It's been super uneventful. But it's probably going to be a multi-part video at this point. Let's go. No kudu. Absolutely just eluded us, which was, again, a super bummer. Now, if you've never hunted kudu, especially wild kudu, then I don't think you can explain to anybody how difficult it is to see them in their natural terrain. They are not called the grey ghost for nothing. These things, it's like Where is Wally to, I don't know, the 100th level. They are so freaking good at camouflaging and just blending into their surroundings. It's unbelievable. At one point we had the BTX spotting scope up, and Jessica had found some kudu and set up the spotting scope and told me to look through the spotting scope. There's 3 kudu there. So I know there's 3 kudu. All I need to do is look through the spotting scope and I'll see 3 kudu. And I could not see them. And they were 500 odd meters away. It was nuts. And eventually she was like, no, behind the cactus. And then all I picked up was an ear moving, and then all of a sudden I could see them. So yeah, quite incredible to see how they've adapted to that environment. Just trying to get out of the sun. Seems to work for the people in the Middle East. So might as well work in Africa. So the rest of that day was kind of spent just glassing around, trying to find something, but we ended up not getting any opportunities in that valley. We sort of got picked up by the farmer at I think about 4 o'clock that afternoon. So on the way out that afternoon, I noticed a few baboons off into the distance. Now you guys know I love baboon hunting, right? That's something we do on this channel. And they do a lot of damage. Now, even though this is the middle of nowhere, these farmers are incredibly pushed for resources. So they are using solar pumps to try and get water out the ground because it hardly rains in this region, and the baboons do damage the equipment. They'll climb on solar panels, break things off, so the farmers are very keen to manage them. It was very difficult to range them due to sort of the angle of the sun and how far they were, but I ended up putting a shot in the air and I could see where the bullet had landed just below him on a rock. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the scope cam and everything all set up. Perhaps next year or later this year when we head out back to Namibia, we can try some more baboon hunting. So pack everything up again, and on the way out we see a giant kudu bull with 3 females just sort of running around, but they definitely seen us. He briefly gave us a shot at about 400 and something meters, but we had no time to set up, nothing. And we were way too many people and people talking on the back of the truck, and I'd gotten off, tried to set up prone, but the vegetation and the stuff was to some extent that there was no shot. And my brother and I tried to pursue him into the mountain. We burned a couple of hours heading after him, but he was gone, man. He was nowhere to be seen. So we called it a day, another evening around the campfire, watching the stars. Still a hard day's worth of hunting, but if you end it off like that, it's absolutely worth it. So the next morning rolled around. It was a little bit change of scenery. Jessica also wanted to shoot a springbok, so we went to a different farmer's property where we did a driven hunt, which is a voorsetjag, which I have explained. So my brother and I got this big, I think it's a koperboom. I wasn't quite sure if memory serves. We're talking a year later where I'm telling these stories to you guys. And that's really the reason why this video only came out now. We had a lot of footage. I have a lot of footage of this hunt, but there's not a real story. We didn't do the story element, so that's why I'm doing it in this format, because for the last couple of months I've been thinking, like, how are you going to put this together? Because, like, if you have a lot of clips, I could make a cool video for you guys, but you guys know I like telling stories and I like sharing the visuals with you, so I thought that this may be the best format to do that. Anyway, my boot and I, we assembled this cool sort of log setup. We both get set up, we've got multiple cameras rolling. So we're hoping today we can get the shot on camera, but it's not always the most practical thing, especially in a hunting environment like this. We've built ourselves this little shelter this morning. The wind's maybe not great, so we're sort of hoping to get lucky. We have seen some stuff moving, just not what we're looking for. So stick around, it should be fun. It's 20 minutes and the springboks are coming, and you feel the heart rates going up now. Keep in mind, I'm shooting a muzzle brake on my 6.5 Creedmoor. The bucks are coming in. I'm going like, okay, cool. I don't want to dial now because, you know, I'm scared I mess up the dial because it's a little bit different. It's second focal plane, so I really don't want to shoot off the reticle much because I'm not used to that. That's why now I just Vortex AMG on my hunting rifle. It's light, it's got the same reticle, everything. Anyway, springboks come up. My brother, he's ranging them from behind, click, 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 giving me ranges the whole time. And as he sort of starts giving me ranges, we realize that they're going to flank us, and all of a sudden our cover is going to be completely blown. So I have to last minute get set up, jump over this tree stump, straddle it like a horse, and do like a precision rifle style shot on a running springbok. As my brother gave me the range, I let the shot rip. And due to the position and sort of how quickly everything happened, and there was a whole bunch of springbok, it was difficult. I did not see him drop in my scope. I also had the scope on max zoom so that I knew my reticle would be at the true power, because usually I'd be lower zoom a little bit to open up that field of view. Neither of us see the springbok drop. So now we're going like, did I just miss something again? And I'm looking towards him. Did we just miss another springbok? Like, how's that possible? And he says, no, you definitely missed it. Let's like find another one. And they've gone circled around this way. So we spin around, set up again, and as I'm about to pull the trigger, I go, nope, let me just double check this. And I take a breath and I go like, okay, this is how far he was, this is how fast he was sort of running, guesstimate, this is how much I led him. It should be a banger. And true as Bob, the farmer happens to come around, does a lap, and he says, this is a nice shot. He saw it from the bucky. And I was like, oh, cool. Where's the buck? And he'd fallen just behind a bush, so we couldn't really see where he was at. Went over there, of course, packed up because we were done for the day, and we were going to help some other hunters. And went over there, beautiful little ram, and that was super cool. That was my first springbok I'd shot as an adult. I'd shot a springbok with my dad's 30-06 when I was probably 7-8 years old, and it was not a good memory. Let me just leave it at that. So yeah, for the rest of the day, we helped the other hunters. Jessica managed to shoot her big kudu bull on that day too, which was cool, and I was super happy for her. But that sort of left me without my kudu bull, which is why I came to Namibia. So the next day we were up super early, and we were trying a different part of the property again, a completely different farm actually. Right early in the morning we get onto a big, I'm talking Roland Ward size kudu bull, and he's sort of in this little draw. It's almost like a little oasis type thing, but I'm talking it's not big. It's like 100 meters long by about 5-6 meters wide with tallish bushes and shrubs. And we saw him run in there, and we know he's there, but we can't find him. So we have this little sort of edgy rocky outcrop. We get off the truck, we run around this way. Well, not run, but like sort of leopard crawl run, staying low. And then we get into this little draw where he's at. And instead of working up the draw and blowing him out, we decide to go over the draw and sort of head up this other ridge to try and get elevation, to try and get a different angle on him. And my brother and I probably glass that piece of land for, I don't know, it felt like an eternity. And we see nothing. And I'm talking, this thing was a monster. Long story short, as we're about to call it a day, I hear off the back and completely behind us, here's a nice big kudu cow coming out, and I decide, listen, this is the one I see, it's an easy shot, she's in great condition, I'm gonna take her. So I quickly spin around, do this sort of awkward rock in the liver prone shot, and she drops right in her tracks. And as I look up, this giant bull pops up about 200 meters from where we were at. And I guess that's a lesson we have to learn. We just have to be patient and wait. It's a waiting game with hunting, and I was really impatient in this trip. So we get her all taken care of, call it a day, and we head back to some of Eugene's amazing food. Now during this time, my wife is highly pregnant too. There's no real cell phone reception, so FaceTime is not even an option. There's no Wi-Fi where we're at. We get the odd phone call in every night, and next day, last day of the hunt, head out super early again. My brother and I decide to canvas this sort of dry riverbed, and we work our way up on the one side of the riverbed, glassing, clearing a whole big section of country, and then moving on to a next section, clearing country. And long story short, at about lunchtime, the farmer says, listen guys, this area is a dud. We're gonna pack up, walk back to the road. So him and I, we hike up back to the road, which by the way, our morning on this dry riverbed was unbelievable. It was super cool. We saw the most amazing things. We got some really cool footage, and we got to hang out, which I think was the best part of this whole trip for us. As we get back to the truck and we start loading all our stuff in, now bear in mind this is camera stuff, this is rifle stuff, this is spotting scopes, it's a massive operation, right? Way too many things. But that's kind of how it goes when you're self-filming hunts, self-filming, using that loosely, because he was obviously helping with that. We get back to the truck, and one of the tracker guys goes, oh, there's a kudu. And we go like, okay. So I immediately just in front of the truck, prone on him, but he's sort of lying with you can just see these giant curls glistening in the afternoon sun. But I don't have a shot at him. If I had a bigger caliber, I probably would have threaded the needle through that bush, because it was like bush right here where the light's at, and then kudu. So how much could it possibly deflect in a space like that? Nonetheless, we're on him for about 30 minutes. This was a giant mistake. And we decide we're going to make a move and go downwind from him and try and get high ground on that side to shoot down towards him. And somewhere during this episode, I think we were just too quick. There was a couple of cows with him, and they spotted us. These guys flew up, and they took off straight up this mountain. Now my brother and I, keep in mind I come from a cycling background, my brother is a very good cyclist, he's very fit. We're like, yeah cool, we'll just run up this mountain and we'll get a shot here on top. So we take off at the speed of light. Me with my ACC and a Vortex. No, I hadn't swapped the scopes back. I'd left the Swarovski on. We running up this mountain. Guys, it was about 300 meters and I was like, I could taste the blood in my mouth. Run till you taste blood, then just back off a little bit. It doesn't work anymore if you stop training for months. So, it was brutal, and needless to say, no kudu bull at the top of the mountain. So yeah, rest of the afternoon, hunting, glassing, just trying to get something, and as it's starting to get dark, we call it a day. We're going home without, we got the cow, which is going to be wonderful meat, and I'm still eating of her today, a year later, but no big kudu bull. And as we're driving down, everything's packed away. We see a very big, beautiful kudu bull with, I think he had about 4 cows with him. Get set up. Now this is the time where, and me as a hunter, I'm still learning too. I'm getting off the truck, trying to get a shot, and I really don't want to be the hunter that drives around and shoots things off the truck, but that's not how we hunted. During this thing, by the way, I also skipped the whole day where we didn't do any shooting. I was just doing video stuff for Jess. So we hunted our asses off. So I see the kudu, he's at 440, I think he was. I know my rifle's dialed. I've since gone back, set up a gong at 1,000 meters, and I put like 5 rounds of Burger 140 VLDs in a spot like this. So I know the rifle's absolutely hammering. Got the scope figured out, everything's good to go. I burnt like 50 rounds of ammo on that steel target that day. So I'm confident to take this shot. Rounds in the air. Recoil management perfect. You guys know if you see your own vapor trail sometimes. I see the vapor trail. I see the round impact the kudu exactly where I wanted it to. He falls flat in his tracks. Insta kill. We're all up and down, high-fiving. The farmer's like, dude, he thinks it's the biggest kudu they've ever shot on this farm. Amazing. My brother takes off with the drone, flies out towards the kudu. The tracking guy walks up to the kudu because the sun's now setting rapidly. And that's one thing about Namibia. It's like, it's light, starts getting dark. So the sun's setting, the tracker guy's going, I'm packing the rifle away, getting all the camera stuff, because we now have to go and deal with this kudu. As the tracking guy gets about halfway to the kudu flies up and he goes, and he starts booking it. So basically what had happened, we saw this after the fact, is that I'd shot him just behind the shoulder but hit some bone, and I think it was due to how he was sort of quartering. I think he was quartering towards me. So I shot him a little bit too forward. But having seen him drop in his tracks, he was laying there for like 2 minutes, not moving. I couldn't believe that he got up. Anyway, Namibia kudus are exceptionally tough, as it appears. So now kudu's walking sort of at a limping speed, which is something I never want to do. I never want to wound an animal. And my rifle's packed away. And all of a sudden, due to the vegetation and where he's at now, he's putting distance on us, like rapidly. And as I said earlier, there's no fences here, nothing. If the sun sets here, it's gonna be a long night, and I don't want to be in that position. So I grab the rifle, load up another round. Now I've got like, I think I had 1 round in my camo jacket. I pop it in, the guide's ranging for me 650, 660, 670. By the time I'm ready to shoot and dial my dope on, he's at 725 meters. Now I've given my thoughts on long range hunting before. Just because we can't do it, I don't think we should go out and intentionally do that. But here in this situation, my skills saved my butt. I am comfortable at shooting targets at a far distance, and in this specific case, I had to engage this animal at this distance. There was no way to close the gap. The sun was setting, and I was able to put a round in him, and we dropped him right there. And by the time we actually got to him, it was basically completely dark. So, after a long day of walk and stalk, we got one. and he's a beauty. Moet sy tande op haar klip.
Ja.
Is te peel om te sluk.
Is dit? Gou hom 'n bietjie.
Is dit 'n peel?
Te peel om te sluk.
As hy, pronounce the bloody Mario. Kap hom.
And
That's it.
evidently fear is not a factor for you. Ended up being the biggest kudu bull they'd ever harvested on the farm. The meat is amazing. I finished my last biltong and droewors quite recently. And yeah, the moral of the story is don't put your rifle away and high fives and hugs and yeah, we did it. I would leave them longer next time and stay on them with the scope with another round in the chamber. So that was a valuable lesson for me. But it was also cool to see that, you know, we put in all the training and we shoot targets that are really far away, that if we ever needed to, then we can utilize that skill. So yeah, the feeling of harvesting a big kudu bull in Namibia in that sort of conditions with how everything played out, I would have loved to get it done in one shot. That was also where I realized the 6.5 Creedmoor, even though it's an exceptionally capable round for doing a lot of things, with a bigger caliber, and that's why I went 7mm now, it does buy you that little bit more margin for error. Because I think it'll just hit a little bit harder, have a lot more terminal energy. But having said that, I've since then hunted with my 6.5 and I've never felt that it really limits me. Just for my own peace of mind, I wanted to step that up in caliber, but that's just my personal opinion. We prepped all our meat that same night. The next morning we were out there super early because we had to drive back to Cape Town. Something I also forgot to mention was during one of these days there was an opportunity for my brother to also shoot a kudu bull, and I was able to guide him on and give him sort of distance dope out to his bull, which he placed an absolutely perfect shot on out of shooting sticks, and I think for me that was almost as cool as harvesting my own kudu bull, was to guide my brother onto his bull. Yeah, that was really cool, and I can see why the guys, the professional hunter guys, get so much reward from doing that. So guys, that's pretty much my memories of our hunt in Namibia. Again, if you haven't seen the video I made for Jessica, you can watch that over here. If you want to see my other hunt in the Eastern Cape, you can check down here. If you're interested in booking with House Safaris, all their details are going to be down here. As always, please remember to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.